ॐ विश्वं
Namaste, Swamiji.
दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात्कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. So welcome
Sorry,
to our
Swamiji,
first session.
sorry I was a little late.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for sparing time, Swamiji, for the group. You just don't have enough words to thank you with all your busy schedule.
No,
you have spent time, so we really appreciate it. The whole group is very appreciative of you taking time.
Yeah.
So I think the way I sent out notes, I got only one person who sent me a few questions. I forwarded it to you.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I have those questions here.
Yeah, and then we'll take it from there in future, how this will progress.
Okay.
And we'll go from.
So the first question is, when we say by the grace of God or God's grace, we are acknowledging the fruits of our past good karmas. Correct. So there is really, Ishvara does not give anything from his own kind of a thing. Ishvara as a karma phala data gives phalam. That we call it as a grace. In as much as certain good karmas also we have done, and we may get a good result from Ishvara. But which good karma he has given this particular good result, I cannot say. Therefore, I say it's Ishvara's grace. It's a graceful way of accepting our own karma phala. Graceful way. Otherwise, there will be a pride. I have done good karmas and therefore I am getting good result. Need not be. We should not have that kind of. We should have a humility. Well, so it is we can say, even though our own good karmas has transformed into this good situation, good results, but ultimately Ishvara has given, he has connected our good karma with a good result. Which good karma has resulted into this, I don't know. Therefore, we say it's Ishvara's grace. He has given this in the form of a grace, so that we remain humble. That's the criteria. Graceful way of looking upon the good situations, good karma phala, is called grace. Surrender to Ishvara is accepting the karma phala. Now let us discuss this. The surrender of ego, karta, the doer, ultimately. It should be really inquired into. What is this surrender of ego? Actually, it is it's a too simplistic to say that it is, there is a surrender of ego, etc. First of all, I do not know. Well, I am a surrendering ego to the Lord. This is common. the very first thing is who is Lord, etc. Or what is the Lord, I don't know. In that case, how will I surrender? And why should I surrender? Right? You want to surrender your, suppose you want to surrender your wealth to someone, to whom you will surrender. You will know the person first, that he will utilize your money properly. Then only you will surrender. Same way I am surrendering ego to the Lord, then definitely, well, you should know the Lord. So who is Lord, what is Lord, etc., that itself we do not know. Then in that case, why should I surrender? I have as such also few things. Lord may be having thousands of things, billions of things. I am having a few things, and these things are owned by this ego. If I surrender to the Lord, then what will I get in return? I don't know. I don't know the Lord. No, you should have a Swami, you should have a Shraddha. So you surrender ego. Ego means you think you are owner of few things. That's the ego that you are surrendering. So first you should know what is the Lord. But suppose if you don't know and someone says, well, you surrender to your ego, then I'm telling you, you will get everything, he says. Now the question arises, if the ego is already surrendered, then who is going to get everything? Right? Ego is surrender. The person says, if you surrender your ego, you get everything. Who is that you now? Because ego is surrender. So who is that ego? The ego is not there at all to get everything. So anyway, so once I have surrendered my ego, I become totally decimated kind of a thing. Then who is there to get anything out of that surrender? Nobody. So then what type of surrender is this? This kind of surrender is useless. You want to surrender your ego in order to gain something. Now, the gainer itself has not remained because the ego has gone. We are inquiring to. There are several possibilities I am going to explore here. Don't worry. So, first thing is this, okay? This kind of a surrender is useless. Because the very gainer, after surrendering ego, the very gainer doesn't remain. Anyway, this is one. You can note it down. Now, next question. Who is surrendering the ego? That's the first thing. Now, who is surrendering the ego? Somebody has to surrender. Somebody has to do this act of surrendering. So, it is the ego that has to surrender itself. That's the answer generally people give. It is the ego that has to do this action of surrendering itself. That is not possible. Why? Like, see, what you have, you can definitely surrender. You should be owner, right? Like if suppose I am wearing a coat, I can surrender the coat. I can hang it somewhere or I can put it on someone's shoulder also. So, when I am owner of the coat, then I can say, well, I am surrendering my coat. It's easy to surrender. If I am not the owner of the coat and I can ask you to take it, well, but I cannot surrender it. Be it because it does not belong to me, right? Definitely. If something does not belong to me, then there is no question of surrendering. So, similarly, here also people say, I am always told that this ahankara, ego, etc. belongs to the Lord and that I must surrender it. How can I surrender what does not belong to me? Suppose if it belongs to already to the Lord, then there in that case, you have not to surrender. Who are we to surrender? Because it already belongs to him. Suppose if your wealth is there, and I say I am giving away your wealth to ashram. Suppose, just think. You say, who are you, Swami, to give away my wealth? Okay, so you should analyze this statement, surrendering ego. karta, etc. You can say the same thing. It's the same thing. People go to the actions and result of an action. We'll discuss that later. First, let us analyze this. So, and well, ego belongs to the Lord ultimately. So, how is that I do not know it? In fact, I think, well, that everything belongs to me, including Lord. Really, that's how we say, my Lord, my God. So, you feel everything belongs to you. In fact, it is ulta. Everything belongs to Him. Your ego, Swamiji, but I don't understand this. Your ego means what? Your body. Tana mana dhana, sab tera, we say. Tana mana dhana. That is, so when you say, I am surrendering ego, means you are surrendering your body in Lord's service. You are surrendering your mind. You are surrendering your sense organ. Yeah, but they don't belong to you. This is all a wonderful design of Ishvara. Everything is a manifestation of Ishvara. Ishvara is the material cause. Ishvara alone is the maker of this. So what is that thing in ego which really I am owner of? Well, that thing I should surrender. But if you find nothing belongs to you, and I do not know this also, and therefore, in fact, due to ignorance of that, either you say ignorance of the Lord in reality, well, you think you are the possessor of many things, including Lord. Yeah, that's how we say, my God, my Lord, etc. Anyway, so if there is a Lord and He includes everything, so I have nothing to really speaking surrender. I have only to know. Surrendering is a knowing something. Anyway, furthermore, if I have to surrender to a Lord who is separate from me, then I am the ego, naturally. Then who is to surrender this ego? Who is there to surrender this ego, which is separate from the Lord? And therefore, ego is to be surrendered. Okay. Who is there to surrender this ego to the Lord? Well, ego alone has to surrender. Ego. How can the ego surrender, Swamiji? The one who surrenders is the ego. And being the one who surrenders, ego can only surrender whatever it owns. So the owner cannot be surrendered. Like you ask me, I am owner of the coat, right? Well, you say, Swami, you give away your coat. I can give it to you, right? I am owner of it. I can give it to you. But still the owner remains. Please understand. Owner, the person remains. Same way, the very ego you want to surrender, who is the one who surrenders the ego? That will remain. Swamiji, the owner of the ego will surrender the ego. Then this owner is not ego. Please understand this. We really feel surrender. Surrender means some kind of an action. There is a Lord, there is an altar of the Lord, there is a Lord's, and I am really doing some kind of a surrendering action and at the feet of His Lord, something like that. It comes in your mind like this. It's not there. Anyway. So another ego can only surrender which owns up, whoever owns up to the act of this surrender, etc. So what you surrender also is ego, then the one who surrenders, who considers the owner of the ego, etc. also is the ego only. So ego requires an ego which requires yet another ego, etc. So we find ultimately a infinite regression. So then how are we going to surrender a ego to the Lord? So really speaking, surrender is not an action. Surrender is a mature attitude. There is no other surrender than this. If you find some kind of another surrender, please let me know in our next session. Okay? Surrender is basically, as such, is not possible for the ego because it cannot surrender itself. But with an attitude of surrender, I can deflate the ego. I can appreciate. How will I deflate the ego? I can appreciate that there is nothing in this creation that is authored by me, that everything is given to me, and including my physical body, the mind, the senses, everything is given to me. The very knowledge you gather is also possible because it's a possibility to gain the knowledge. And there are many further factors which are contributing silently in your acquisition of knowledge. And therefore, even your memory is working, everything is by law. No law is created by human being. The law by which this physical body is functioning, the law by which I gathers memory, the law by which the perception takes place, the law by which inference takes place, the law by which knowledge takes place, all the laws are the manifestation of Ishvara. It is unlike taxation law. It's unlike traffic law that is created by human being. We are talking about here ego. As I have a memory, I am knowledgeable. क्या बात है? The very possibility of gaining knowledge is there. It's a manifestation of Ishvara. That is what we call order. And therefore this is universal. A human being is capable. He has a free will. He can suspend his free will. He can utilize his free will. And he can gather knowledge by suspending free will. All the possibilities are given to the human being, which is a universal manifestation. And that is Ishvara. And therefore, no one can claim over any other thing. This kind of a thinking is called surrendering ego in terms of deflating. The deflation of the ego is the surrender of ego in light of a better understanding of Lord. That's what it is. More your understanding of Ishvara, more your surrender of ego. That's it. Surrender is a mature attitude which you gain on account of a proper understanding of Lord, who is a maker and material, and therefore maker material, that is not just enough. You have to go into that. What is the material? Well, and if you go into that, you will find it's all given. The very possibilities of gathering knowledge is given. Possibility of storing the information is given. Everything is given. The very perception takes place by Ishvara. The very all the action, all the physiological activities are taking place because of the Ishvara's law. Psychological orders. There are so many orders. Orders means all laws, niyati, a certain cause effect relationship, everything. Anyway, so what is given to me is not mine. And therefore, when I say I am just a trustee, etc., oh Lord, you are the giver, this is called a surrender of ego. So the ego is, well, what tells me this? And so, but this ego is now a deflated ego. The ego understands that everything is given to me. I am totally pervaded as an individual conscious being. I am totally pervaded by the cosmic conscious being, Ishvara. So this is very essential to know it. There is no action called surrender. And then, well, but then how does one get rid of samsara? Because ego is there, then samsara is there. So only by getting rid of ego, one can gain, one can get rid of samsara. Yeah, correct. So by getting rid of ego, by getting rid of this karta, the doer Swamiji, one can gain one can get rid of samsara. True. So if surrender is not possible, how does one get rid of this ego? So in the name of getting rid of, well, everything else, the ego always remains in one form or the other, basically. So because the ego, the karta, is always there in one form or the other, it cannot be defeated except the one who undertakes an inquiry, who am I? Am I really a karta or am I something else? The even which is the essence of even karta. So a person definitely when inquiry into, then he finds that this karta is a time being. The bhokta is a time being. If I am a karta, then I remains in all the three states. Then karta also should remain in all the three states. If I am really a bhokta, then I remains in all the three states, right? I am the waker, I am the dreamer, I am the one who sleeps. Therefore, that I, one I, whatever that I is right now, that one I which remains all throughout the life on all the three states. If I am really a karta or a bhokta, then the karta or the bhokta also should remain in all the three states. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Karta, right now you are karta, then you become bhokta, then karta, then bhokta. That also vary, and in deep sleep state both resolve. I remain independent of karta bhokta, and therefore I am not karta bhokta. Karta ka bhokta, I am a karta bhokta is a time being. When something is to be done, vaha, you are a karta. Or you are experiencing something, you are bhokta. That's not a reality of you. That's a transactional reality. This ego is a transactional reality. Ego is a self which is time being. Whereas you are the one which is consciousness, which is self-evident, self-existent, well, which exists, which whose nature is existence, and therefore it remains all in all the three states. That's your reality. So ego, basically, the karta, etc., is a imposter, superimposition. There is no doership, in fact, in I. It's a mithya, dependent upon Atma. So that is how we have to understand. So, well, and now the question was, so Swamiji, when, what is the question? Karma phala? So surrender to Ishvara is accepting a karma phala? Correct. Correct. But you should understand when you are accepting karma phala, you are having this idea that I did action and he is giving me karma phala and now I have to experience it as a bhokta. Well, that's fine. But don't think that you are really a karta bhokta. With respect to a karma, transactions, etc., well, you are a karta. And with respect to certain situations which have come in your life as a karma phala, you are a bhokta. But that is kartrutva, bhoktrutvam is incidental. It's superimposition. Basically, the truth of karta, bhokta is this Atma alone, without which even the karta, bhokta cannot exist. What is self-existent, Atma alone lends existence to everything. That is how it remains. And this is called, in general, so a Vedantin's life is basically a life of a least resistance. Yeah. Least resistance. It begins with here. So whatever karma phala comes, you accept. There is a less resistance. Less resistance, you are definitely cutting off your likes and dislikes. More resistance, well, you are trying to push your likes and dislikes. You want them to get fulfilled also. So a sadhaka's life is a life of less and less and less and less and less resistance. Less resistance, more objectivity, more appreciation of what is, more appreciation of Ishvara. More appreciation of Ishvara leads you to closer towards the goal of Ishvara. More resistance, more ego, more likes and dislikes, more individuality remains away from Ishvara, remains away from goal. That's how it is. So we'll have to think in this way. Now, next question. Difference between praying at home versus at the temple. Good. Yeah. So praying at home and praying at the altar in a temple makes big difference, because in our home generally we don't do this kind of a thing, that prana pratishtha and all this, a elaborate ritual to to make that idol, etc., or that altar a live entity. No, we don't do that in the home generally. Whereas in the temple, they do a elaborate ritual. They call prana pratishtha. And therefore, the Ishvara is right present there. They invite pranas, etc. They'll do a lot of things. And therefore, it's more alive in a temple when you do worship. It is more alive, more efficacious, naturally. So it always makes a difference. It doesn't mean that you should not do at home. Your relationship or to the Lord is already established. An individual conscious being is already related to the total conscious being, the cosmic conscious being. You are related. You cannot be independent of Ishvara. No one is independent. Only thing is, I am not aware of the relationship. That's the only thing. So you have to do something in order to make this relationship a live kind of a thing. I mean, so in meditation also, either you do chanting, sutra patha, or you do puja. Well, you are trying to make enliven this relationship, because otherwise you feel you are alien in this. Ishvara is not taking care of you. In spite of my very words right now, I am able to speak because Ishvara is working. I am able to see you because Ishvara is working. I am doing hands like this because Ishvara is working. Well, I am sitting on the sit. There even the Ishvara is working. All law of gravitation, everything. So I mean, constantly I am totally survived actually, or my life is running because of Ishvara, but I'm not aware of. Therefore, well, we do certain things, specific things, rituals, or even a verbally chanting, etc., or mentally also you relate to Ishvara. So basically, you as though enliven the relationship. So, like you are related to your son, daughter, or father, mother. Sometimes it happens that the person loses the contact. Something happened. Suppose the father has given a little more wealth of his to a younger brother, and then well you are not happy with that, and so well you as though you said, I have cut off all relationship. You cannot cut off. How will you cut off a relationship with your father? Is there some kind of a snap which you have? I mean, there's some kind of a connection was there which you snapped? No. So basically, you have ignored that relationship now. But again, you may feel that well your father is getting old now and it's not fair. Yet they have done, father mother both have done a lot for us, and therefore you basically again go on a Diwali, you go there and you do namaskara salutations and say sorry this that, etc., and stay with them, etc. So this is this kind of a thing. The relationship is you cannot brush it off, that with the parents especially, or children, whatever. But while you were ignoring, now you are making it as to alive. That's the thing. Same way with Ishvara, he is our parents. Ishvara. So, what is that? Pita hamasya jagatah mata dhata pitamaha. Bhagavan said in the 9th chapter or 10th chapter, 9th chapter perhaps. So, Pita hamasya jagatah. I am the father and I am the mother and I am grandfather and grandmother and all, great grandfather. So, point is, So these are the things which are very essential. So on a daily basis, one should do worship in one's home, no problem. But if your mind says that since I am doing a Venkateshwara puja in my home, well, I will never visit or I don't find a need of going to Venkateshwara temple. Well, and if someone is going there in the temple, you criticize, suppose, then it reveals our ignorance very well, definitely. So, just because I am doing puja at home, therefore I should not visit temple, that's a wrong thinking. Wrong thinking. Because it's a quite another thing. I will tell you something else also. More the people visit the temple, and more they have that attitude, seeing the Lord, seeing the idol, that this is Lord, this is Lord, this is Lord. That attitude will be there. So more and more this happens, more and more that the so-called statue, it's a Bhagwan only, but then it's a statue become as the more and more alive. And that's how most visited temples, people like Venkateshwara temple in Tirupati, etc., or any other, or Badrinath, Kedarnath, people always criticize, they are fools. There is a Badrinath photograph in our, or there is same kind of some linga, etc., in our home. He he should have done puja here, why he went there and all that. It's not fair to say that. So, in your temple, nobody has come and said this is Lord. Where there is a lakhs of people every day come, and more they say this with that attitude that this is Lord, this is Lord, this is Lord. It becomes alive, like a piece of paper. A piece of paper becomes a dollar bill. It's a piece of paper, I tell you. Just because one person says, the governor, and I don't know here what federal governor or whatever, some reserve bank kind of a thing, I don't know. So he puts a stamp. This is a 500 of $100 something, and then everyone starts. Oh, this is a dollar bill. This is a dollar bill. This is a dollar bill. The reality is it's a paper, just paper, with some ink. That's it. This is a dollar bill. This is a dollar bill. So it has become really a dollar bill. Even if, suppose if I give you $100 bill, you should say, Swami, I am a Vedantin. I know this is the truth of this. This is just a piece of paper with some ink and design and this. This is not dollar bill, Swami. You don't say. You don't say that. Because everyone puts, takes this with that piece of paper as with the attitude. This is a dollar bill. 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 This is how it is. Yeah. So basically, visiting, yeah, you may not be able to visit because of certain things, that's another thing. But criticizing that just because, or you have that attitude, just because I do worship in my home, well, there is a ridiculous to go to the temple. I think that attitude is a ridiculous. Reveals ignorance. In front of God's idols, get overwhelmed with that seeing the self in me, in front of me, in the idol's form. But when see people don't get the same feeling. Long way to go, but with sadhana practices, the ego will start disappearing and acceptance level will start increasing. Ego disappearance, etc. means the understanding, I told you, two stages. First is a deflation. Understanding of a Lord of a one level, you take yourself to be different from the Lord, your ego, jiva, individual. He is a Lord, he is total, you are individual, vyashti samashti. Okay. At that level, you can deflate the ego. That's the first level of surrender. Deflate ego, I told you, that whatever I have, which I consider I am the owner of, is really I am not the owner of. I have a pride over my speech. I have a pride over my memory. I have pride over my my beauty of the physical body, etc., whatever, whatever. Or I have pride over my wealth, pride over my family, pride over lineage, anything. All given, all given. Therefore, the one who says, I am a wealthy person, I am this, I am that, I am knowledgeable, is an inflation of ego. So, with the understanding of the Lord, more and more understanding, you find now He is pervading you more and more. Already He is pervaded, but you are not aware of. Now you are understanding. So that's called deflation. That's the first level of surrender. The second level of surrender, in which you understand the very karta, the ego, the doer, the knower, or a experiencer, bhokta, is a mithya entity. The same Brahman, just time being, appears karta, goes away. Bhokta goes away. Pramata goes away. Time being, the self which is time being is this ahankara, which is mithya. Yeah. That requires a further understanding of Lord. That is with the equation Tattvamasi, etc. So these two levels of surrender. And so there is no ego goes away. Well, ego goes away, etc. Who has gained knowledge by which ego has gone away? Now that one remains. So we have discussed this. Okay. Any question?
Anyone else?
Hariom Swamiji.
Yeah.
One question about forbearance.
Huh? Yes.
So, is praying for something to be different than what it is? Is that going against not tolerating or not forbearing the situation?
Prayer of?
If one were to pray for something to be different than what it is, one is going through some situation or
Absolutely.
some health
Correct.
and if they're praying for the situation to be different,
Yeah.
is that very notion and the act of praying, is that considered not forbearing and not tolerating the situation?
Yes. There is a less appreciation of what is. Less appreciation of a reality. The reality is what is Ishvara alone, but there is a less appreciation, and that can happen. That happens. It's not that easy also. So initially it happens like this, that one will not be able to appreciate in every situation the hand of Ishvara or the Ishvara itself. The very situation is Ishvara. Could you follow? Very situation is Ishvara. So there is in that understanding means there is no resistance at all. Therefore, well, so far as I have a certain reality as an individual, and in my understanding, Ishvara has not yet pervaded fully or not understood totally, then definitely I will look upon certain situations which are certain favorable to me, unfavorable to me, etc., etc., and therefore I will try to change the situation, and you should do. You should do it also. But one can change the situations. Little objectively, thinking that, well, you should say to yourself that I am not able to appreciate what is Ishvara. Fine. But, well, that's a reality. You should say to yourself, that's a reality. And therefore, well, still, I'm not able to accept it. I'm not able to appreciate it. Therefore, I want these situations to change in a manner which ultimately can make me more comfortable in that situation. So that way you can definitely try. But even if you say like that this is ultimately everything is Ishvara alone, then that gives a little space in yourself, a space of objectivity actually. and that helps you to change the situations little comfortably. You will not be stressed. You will not be stressed to even change the situation, because sometimes it changes partly. Sometimes situation changes partly, doesn't change. Sometimes the whole situation doesn't change. Sometimes with your effort the situations change also. So all this, to do that you need a certain comfort. So that objectivity will give you that comfort. That space gives you comfort.
Just for me, check.
Yeah. Any question? Rupal Ben, she's not there. I saw her.
Yes,
Okay.
she was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ah, question? Rupal Ben, તમને?
You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute, please. हाँ.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
પપ્પાજી.
Oh, Hari Om. વાહ.
મુકુંદભાઈ.
હવે ઓળખ્યો કે નહીં મને ખબર નથી. તમે નથી ઓળખાણ પડી. ચાલો.
Yesterday I was listening about the 28th Mahotsav, about your lecture, about your speech.
હા.
If you can just brief that, what you were, it was really good. It was so good. But if you can just summarize that.
Yes. So what I said is, basically, this subject matter of the Vedanta is, which I want to know, is what I want to be. What I want to know is what I want to be, is what I am. Right? I want to know the self. And what is that self? Fullness, Brahman. That's what I want to be. Well, that I want to be happiness, fullness, etc. And that's what I am. And therefore, ultimately, it's a discovery. It's a discovery because it's already there. Therefore, one has to remove the cover. Discover, we say. So remove the cover in terms of ignorance and wrong notions. That is the cover. That is really not any kind of a physical cover over the Atma, which is self-evident, because of which everything becomes evident. And therefore there is nothing which can cover the Atma. But, well, one can definitely gain a clarity about this knowledge, etc. And thereby you drop the notions. Ignorance also will go away, which is the cause of it, etc. Anyway, but the instrument for gaining this knowledge is the mind. So I said that there is a statement in a Kathopanishad, Manasa eva anudrashtavyam nehananasti kinchana drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhihi. So Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. One should know the self, right, by one's mind. But then Kinopanishad says, well, yan manasana manute, yena ahur manomatam, tadeva brahmatvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasate. Yan manasana manute. One cannot know the self, one cannot objectify the self by one's mind. So these are contradictory statements, Kathopanishad and Kinopanishad. Which one says one should know the mind, one should know the self by mind alone. In fact, this is manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Here it says yan manasa na manute. One cannot know the self by mind. Then I said that both the statements are right, even though looks contradictory, because a refined mind can know. But who says refined mind can know, Swami? That may be your statement. No. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. So one can definitely know the self with the focused mind, etc., and subtle mind, etc. Means definitely a refined mind. One can know self by refined mind. And therefore, one can also, one doesn't know oneself with unrefined mind. So that is correct. With a refined mind, one can know. With unrefined mind, you cannot know. Therefore, both statements can be accommodated. And Bhashyakara's statement also I quoted that Shastra Acharya Sanskritan Manaha Atmadarshane Karanam Bhavati. Very beautifully said, Bhashyakara said in Bhagavad Gita. Sanskritam Manaha. Shastra Acharya Sanskritam Manaha. The refined mind is Atma Darshane Karanam Bhavati, becomes an instrument in seeing oneself, in knowing oneself, clear knowledge. Yeah. So this is a refinement is very essential. And that refinement is called samskara. Generally, person whoever is born is having a prakrutam manaha, unrefined mind. And so one has to refine one's own mind over the period of time. That's called samskara. Samskara means a purification, refining. And that is how we have a 41 samskaras starting from the very conception to the death. And so Garbhadana Samskaram, Simanto Nayanam, Jata Karma, etc. This, and Yagnopavita Samskaram, Vivaha Samskaram, etc. Aksharabhyasa, this, that. And lastly, Agni Samskaram. And therefore, where even the person's body has been offered to the Agni Devata, so that you will get a better form. Agni gives a form. Yeah. So you get a better form in the next life with a more refined mind, because you are in the process of that 41 samskara, continuously refining yourself. And one may not be able to refine oneself totally in one life, because Bhagavan himself says, Aneka Janma Samsittaha Tato Yati Paramgati. One definitely gains this moksha in several janmas. We may feel because one may not be able to understand Mahavakya in many janmas, and that's not correct. Because very self-evident Atma is Brahman. If our mind is ready, abiding mind is there, it immediately you know. Immediately. It's not something which is very unknown thing is going to be revealed here. It's yourself which is self-evident in fact. But anyway, so what the time goes in refining oneself. Lot of time. So even Agni Devata, to that body has been offered so that you get a better body where you will have a more possibility of refining. Ultimately, you will be closer to the knowledge. Yeah, that's what I said. Closer to the knowledge. And so this refinement. Now, what are the things? What are the characteristics which are there in an unrefined mind, and what are the characteristics which are there in a refined mind? And I gave 2 examples. Refining mind, for that I gave 2 examples. First is of the physical body. Refining physical body means what? First, removing the impurities by taking bath. And then putting, chandanam and applying perfume and these and wearing it. So that's a decorating, beautification. So there are 2. So refining mind also involves 2 processes. I give also another example of a house. In house also, when you want to refine the house, beautify the house with the paint, what they do is first they remove, right? First they remove the old paint and the dust and everything. And then they repaint it. Yeah. So same way here also, beautification of the mind, refining mind involves 2 steps. Removing the impurities and then beautifying. So with the virtues. So then I said there are 6 things. 6 impurities are there which should be removed, which should go. And that is kamaha, krodaha, lobaha, mohaha, madaha, and matsarya. Matsarya means a jealousy born of comparison. That I said. And there are 6 virtues by which you have to beautify them. And what are the 6 virtues? Well, I said first is a compassion. I narrate it like that: compassion, bhuteshu daya, then the self-integration, and like that. Few things I said: the purity of the motive, and all that I said. So, and that then I chose one for virtue about which I said, that is compassion. And I said compassion is something which ultimately, it's just one value, one virtue, which can take you to the moksha by refining your mind. Just compassion. And regarding compassion, I said few things, and that a human being is if a compassion is there, a human being becomes really a human being, etc., etc. I said. And in compassion, there are two things: that there is a sensitivity for other person's feeling, because when you have a certain sensitivity, your own mind becomes a mirror for others' feeling. I said that. So if sensitivity is not there, then I will not be able to appreciate someone's pain, someone's feelings. So, even someone has a certain dissatisfaction, someone has a anger, anything. I mean, at least you should be aware of the person is angry with you or someone else. But sometimes we are, with our own, preoccupation, we are not aware of. So that this person becomes more and more sensitive. And and I then gave a example. I quoted actually from Shakuntalam, Kalidas's Shakuntalam, where this psychologists call this compassion as empathy. That also I said. And Kalidasji mentioned about empathy in Shakuntalam. Snigdhajana samvibhaktam khalu sahya vedanam bhavati. Snigdhajana samvibhaktam. Pravibhaktam. Snigdhajana means your people, your own people, let us say, or those who are very considerate to you, those who have an understanding for you, those who have a love for you, those who have a listening ability to listen you. Yeah, they are ready to listen you. They are called snigdhajana. Snigdhajana pravibhaktam. With the pain which I have, I share with this person, that person. Khalu, indeed, Sahya Vedanam Bhavati. Then you become, Sahya Vedanam means you will be able to endure your pain. Once you share with others, means you will be relieved. That is how I mentioned. So I also said this thing, that the removal of someone's pain lies in the appreciation of his pain by me. Just appreciation. Like when you say something to me, if I considerably, I mean, with a considerate mind, I listen, with an understanding, I listen to you, itself makes you free from the pain. So anyway, so this is what I said in a compassion. And I also said finally that, at least if you do not have a empathy for others, if you do not, if you do not have a capacity to listen others' pain, or to understand someone's pain, at least you should not be a cause to give pain to others. I say that. At least one part should be there. And then I just said, well, Lord Dakshinamurti give us all this, with His grace, we all get this growth and maturity and compassion, etc., so that we can acquire the goal of life, etc. Right?
It's so beautiful, Swamiji. It was so. And yesterday also, I just kept listening. And it was so beautiful. Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah. And because compassion is something which is, Puja Swamiji also used to love it. And I also mentioned Bhagavad Gita that this particular virtue has Bhagavan also talked. Daya bhuteshu aloluktam, etc. So bhuteshu daya. So daya means a compassion. Compassion on the bhuteshu, compassion on all living beings. including human being. Yeah, that's what I say.
So, Swamiji, samskara comes under vasanas? No.
No, this samskara is a process of purification,
It's different.
process of purification of mind, etc. Yeah, refining the mind. Yeah.
Refining
So
the mind.
because it all involves, say, certain rituals also, and those rituals also help you in your refinement.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Mm. Thank you,
We have time
Swamiji.
for
Yeah.
one more question before we let Swamiji go. Sanjay Babu, anything from the group discussion which I missed for last 2-3 weeks?
See, we keep going back to Jivan Mukta. Um, we did a lot of study and discussions on Viveka Chudamani, and one thing that came up often was, hey, once you become a Jivan Mukta, is that the end? What happens to all the karmas that you have to do? Let's say you are a Jivan Mukta and you are a Grihastha. You still have to do a lot of karma to continue on, to maintain
Is
the
it
family and everything.
is it a karma? I have to do means still I am a karta, then where is the Jivan Mukti?
See, will that keep on adding to your account of the karma account? Or is that the end? Because the
It's
Jivan
a end.
Mukta has come to the conclusion,
It's an end
it's all Ishvara. I'm
in
doing it.
aparokshanubhuti. Shankaracharya ji discussed between verse 90 to 99 and proved with so many argument that there is no prarabdha. Forget about sanchita and agami. There is no prarabdha for the jivan mukta. You should really refer it. Kindly refer. But Shankaracharya ji literally proved it. The same Shankaracharya ji who has said in Mundaka Upanishad that there is a prarabdha only left over and etc. And he gives example also. And well, the prarabdha, once it is gone, then he's become totally videhi mukta, etc. But same Shankaracharya here in Aparokshanubhuti in 10 verses, he proves it that there is no prarabdha at all for Jnani. So you may find it is a contradiction, but it's not contradiction. From the onlooker standpoint, a Jivan Mukta also is discussed. A wise person is always discussed as a person. Like you and me, when we talk about Shankaracharya ji, we start with this. He was born in Kaladi. Over. Shuru ho gaya. Body. And all along, he got this, he got sannyasa at this, he has written this. In 32 years, he did this, he did this, he did this. So, all from the onlooker standpoint, he is always embodied. So, from their standpoint, there is prarabdha. From Gnani's own standpoint, very beautiful. There is no prarabdha at all. Yeah. If he says he has a prarabdha, well, somehow the jivatvam is continued. Jiva bhavana is still there. So then there is no jivan mukti, right? And so I have to do. So have to do means I am still a doer. Then there is no jivan mukti. So whatever, but then whatever he does, well, that's all called cheshta. There is no kartrutvam, really speaking. He doesn't produce anything. His account is closed already. As a Jivan Mukta itself, his account is closed. Believe me. When the Sanchita is burnt, his account is closed. Your whole earning has been taken away. Yeah, because account holder is not there. When the account holder is not there, government takes away the money from the Samashti takes away. That's how it is. So, and there are Samashti karmas. This is not we are saying because the karma cannot, these are all law of karma. Karma cannot destroy. Karma cannot destroy without giving result of karma. Then I say Sanchita is destroyed. Well, Swami, what about this law? and it's a Ishvara actually. So this is what problem is. No, 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 no. There are samashti karmas. But who says there are samashti karmas? That's how it is. The creation happens due to two factors. Creation, the whole creation comes from Jiva's samashti karma. And they get the bodies from their Veshti karma. That's how it is. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad said this the father of this creation is not Ishvara. Father of the creation is Jiva. Jiva's karma brought out this creation. And therefore, this creation has been depicted as a sevenfold annam, food. And for the Jiva, sevenfold food. Means a food which you take gives sometime a joy, or sometime it doesn't give a joy. Maybe sometime you feel disgusting, maybe too much salt and too much of or the hot things, etc. So what my point is, Jiva's own karma are responsible to bring out this creation. If you otherwise, how will you explain this creation? It is not Ishvara's karma at all. Ishvara doesn't have any karma. Therefore, Jiva's karma. And that is how the same world, which is in the form of sevenfold annam, five Mahabhutas, and sun and moon. That's how the description is. Gives you joy also and gives you sorrow also. Same sun, in the summer gives a lot of pain to the people. And in the winter, suppose the same sun appears, so you feel so delightful, right? So like that. Other things also. Five elements means what is made up of five elements? Five elements as such means made up of five elements gives joy and or gives sorrow. Therefore, definitely Jiva's own karma only. So there are Jiva's samashti karma. So the Jnani's karma merge with, his sanchita merges with the samashti. And his Veshti karma does not remain. So he doesn't get a body. So that's how it is.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Yes.
Namaste.
I will try to take it back to the group and try to explain.
Please.
With Prabodh, of course.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for the
Swamiji. Thank you,
Thank you
Swamiji.
so much.
Pranam.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Thank you,
Hari
Swamiji.
Om.
Hari Om.
Namaste.
Hari Om.
Namaste, Hariom.
Namaste. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
So I'll post the next date for about a week before the class.
Yeah. Correct.
Schedule.
Next.
Q&A.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Namaste.
Good night.
Good night.